Have you ever imagined living in a country where your child needs to study 16 hours a day to have chances at a decent future? A place where people go into debt to change their own face, and where you're considered too old for certain professions at 30. Welcome to South Korea, the nation that rose from the ashes of a devastating war to become a global technological powerhouse in just 60 years. But at what cost? This is a country of extreme contrasts, where success is celebrated, but which also hides alarming suicide rates, one of the highest in the world. Behind Seoul's futuristic skyscrapers and the glamour K-pop, there's a society so obsessed with perfection that people literally die trying to achieve it. A place where even your age is calculated differently. At birth, you're already 1 year old, and everyone gets older on the same day, January 1st. What really happens when an entire culture lives under constant pressure to be the best at everything? And what can we learn from this high-pressure social experiment that is South Korean society? Located in the southern half of the Korean peninsula, South Korea is a relatively small country with about 100,000 square kilometers, similar in size to Portugal. Despite its limited territory, it's home to a population of 51 million people, making it one of the most densely populated countries in the world. The country is surrounded by the Yellow Sea to the west, the Sea of Japan to the east, and shares its only land border with North Korea, separated by the demilitarized zone DMZ, one of the most heavily armed areas on the planet. South Korean territory is predominantly mountainous, with about 70% of its area covered by mountains. The climate has 4 well-defined seasons, with cold winters and hot, humid summers. Seoul, the ultra-modern capital, concentrates almost half of the country's population in its metropolitan region. Approximately 25 million people live in this megacity, where skyscrapers share space with ancient temples. South Korea's geographical position is strategic. Close to giants like China and Japan, the country has become a crucial hub in East Asian trade routes. This same position has also historically placed it at the center of territorial disputes, shaping its mentality of constant vigilance. Modern Korean history is marked by deep traumas. After centuries as a unified kingdom, the country suffered brutal Japanese occupation from 1910 to 1945. For 35 years, the Japanese tried to erase Korean identity. They banned the language, forced the adoption of Japanese names, and subjected people to forced labor. More than 200,000 Korean women were sexually enslaved as comfort women for Japanese soldiers, a wound that remains open in relations between the two countries. After World War II, liberation from Japanese rule brought not unity, but division. The peninsula was partitioned along the 38th parallel, the north under Soviet influence and the south under American control. This division became permanent after the devastating Korean War, 1950 to 1953, which killed millions and destroyed the country's entire infrastructure. When the ceasefire was signed in 1953, technically the war never ended. South Korea was in ruins. It was one of the poorest countries in the world, with a per capita income lower than nations like Ghana and Sudan. That's when one of the most impressive economic miracles in modern history began. Under the leadership of dictator Park Chung-hee, South Korea embarked on forced industrialization. The government chose family conglomerates, chaebols like Samsung, Hyundai, and LG, to receive state support and boost the economy. The price for this lightning-fast economic growth was high, non-existent labor rights, exhausting work hours, and brutal political repression. But the results were undeniable. In just a few decades, South Korea transformed from a war-ravaged country into a technological powerhouse. Democracy only arrived in the late 1980s, after intense student protests. Since then, the country has continued its meteoric rise, becoming the 10th largest economy in the world. Such an extraordinary transformation that it's known as the miracle on the Han River. This history of invasions, war, and reconstruction forged a national mentality of fierce determination and relentless work, a lesson that continues to shape society today, for better and worse. If you're planning to visit South Korea, prepare for an experience that blends thousand-year-old tradition with the most advanced futurism. In Seoul, the old and new coexist in harmony. You can spend the morning exploring the majestic Gyeongbokgung Palace, built in 1395, and the afternoon dive into the ultra-modern Gangnam district with its luxury boutiques and plastic surgery clinics on every corner. For technology lovers, the Dong Demon Design Plaza district is a must. This gigantic futuristic complex looks like it came out of a science fiction movie. At night, don't miss visiting En Seoul Tower, from where you can contemplate the impressive sea of city lights. If you're seeking authentic cultural experiences, the traditional village of Bukchon-Hanok offers the opportunity to walk through alleyways of traditional Korean houses over 600 years old. For a deeper immersion, stay at a Buddhist temple like Heinsa, where you can participate in dawn meditations. Outside Seoul, the volcanic island of Jeju, known as the Hawaii of Korea, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and offers stunning beaches and the impressive Mount Halasan. The historic city of Gyeongju is an open-air museum with ancient tombs and temples from the Silla dynasty. For K-pop fans, don't miss visiting COEX K-pop Square, where you can immerse yourself in the entertainment universe that has conquered the world. Public transportation in South Korea is exceptional. Clean, punctual, and ultra-connected. Get a T-Money card as soon as you arrive to use on subways, buses, and taxis. The internet is possibly the fastest in the world. As for food, prepare your palate for intense experiences. Kimchi is present in almost every meal. Don't miss trying bulgogi, marinated meat, and bibimbap, rice with vegetables, meat, and egg. Koreans take etiquette very seriously. Always take off your shoes before entering traditional houses, and treat elders with extreme respect. The best time to visit is during spring, April, May, when cherry blossoms are in bloom, or in autumn, September, November, when the leaves turn spectacular golden hues. The South Korean economy is an impressive success story. In just a few decades, the country went from extreme poverty to become the 10th largest economy in the world. Such a dramatic transformation that economists call it the miracle on the Han River. At the center of this miracle are the chaebols, the enormous family conglomerates like Samsung, Hyundai, and LG. Samsung alone represents about 20% of South Korea's GDP. These giants dominate virtually every aspect of Korean life. South Korea is a world leader in various sectors. It has the world's largest shipyard, Hyundai Heavy Industries, and is a pioneer in technologies such as semiconductor memory and smartphones. In recent years, the cultural economy has gained enormous importance. The Hallyu Korean wave, which includes K-pop, K-dramas, and beauty products, generates billions in exports. The average monthly salary is approximately 3.67 million won, about $2,750. However, this number hides large disparities. The cost of living is high, especially in Seoul. A modest two-bedroom apartment in the capital can cost between 1 and 2 million won monthly, $750 to $1,500 to rent. To buy, prices are prohibitive. An average apartment in Seoul can cost more than 1 billion won, approximately $750,000. A family of 4 spends an average of 1.2 million won per month, about $900 on grocery shopping. A meal at a mid-price restaurant costs about 10,000 won, $7.50 per person. Education represents an immense expense for Korean families. Parents spend up to 30% of family income on hagwons, private academies, and tutors. It's not uncommon to spend 1 million won, $750 monthly for the education of just one child. This obsession with education and status leads many South Koreans to accumulate debt. The country has one of the highest household debt rates in the world, with many taking loans not only for education, but also for plastic surgeries and status goods. Behind the shiny facade, South Korea hides society with extreme pressures that are rarely shown in the dramas it exports to the world. South Korean culture is obsessed with aesthetic perfection. South Korea has the highest rate of plastic surgeries per capita in the world. In Gangnam, plastic surgery clinics occupy entire buildings. Procedures like double eyelid surgery and jaw reduction are so common, they're given as graduation gifts. This obsession has serious consequences. Employers still require photos on resumes, and appearance directly influences hiring chances. Young people go into debt to pay for aesthetic procedures, believing that without them they won't get jobs or partners. The educational system is possibly the most rigorous in the world. Students often study more than 16 hours a day, attending regular school and then hagwons, cram schools, until night. Everything culminates in the Suk-yeol, the National University Admission Exam, so important that on exam day, airspace is closed to avoid disturbing noise. The pressure is so great that South Korea has one of the highest suicide rates in the world, particularly among young people. Suicide is the leading cause of death among South Koreans aged 10 to 39. Several K-pop stars have committed suicide in recent years, highlighting the dark side of the industry. Behind the shine of K-pop exists an often cruel system. Young trainees sign contracts as children and spend years in rigorous training. They face severe diets, constant criticism, and exhausting routines. Many report having only 2 to 3 hours of sleep per night. Dating scandal can destroy careers, as many fans expect their idols to remain pure. The work environment is notoriously hierarchical and demanding. The culture of hosik, mandatory corporate dinners, forces employees to drink excessively with superiors until late hours. It's not uncommon to see professionals sleeping in offices, as leaving before the boss is frowned upon. Gender inequality persists surprisingly in such a modern country. South Korea has the largest wage gap between men and women among developed countries. Women face discrimination at work, especially after having children. Another concerning indicator is demographics. South Korea has the lowest birth rate in the world, just 0.78 children per woman in 2023. Many young people have adopted the concept of sampo city, generation of 3 give-ups, giving up on dating, marriage, and children due to pressures. A curious detail of everyday life. Heating in Korean homes is done to the floor, a system called ondal. Originally, this system worked with hot smoke from kitchen fireplaces passing underfloor. Today it's modernized but maintains a tradition of heating the house from the ground. Despite all the challenges and contradictions, South Korea also represents an extraordinary story of resilience and transformation. In less than a century, a war-ravaged country reinvented itself as a global power. A new generation is beginning to question the status quo. Young South Koreans are rejecting toxic work culture in favor of the Suk-yeol movement, working only what's necessary. They advocate for woolable work-life balance and question why they should sacrifice their mental health for a system that doesn't always reward their efforts. South Korean artists are addressing these contradictions in their works. The film Parasite, the first foreign film to win the Best Picture Oscar, brilliantly exposed social disparities. Series like Squid Game criticize extreme competition. These works have gained worldwide recognition because they reveal universal truths through the Korean experience. The government is finally recognizing these issues. New laws are being implemented to limit working hours and support young families. Mental health, previously a taboo, is slowly becoming part of the national conversation. South Korea's strength has always been its capacity for rapid adaptation. The same country that transformed its economy in record time now seeks ways to transform its culture to prioritize well-being and sustainability. Young South Koreans are developing their own version of success, one that doesn't depend solely on status, but values experiences and authentic connections. In the streets of Seoul, there are increasingly more spaces that prioritize community and creativity over competition. In the end, perhaps the greatest gift South Korea offers the world is this vital lesson. True progress cannot be measured only in GDP, but also in people's well-being. And as the country continues its transformation, the rest of the world watches, learns, and hopes that South Koreans find a balance between their extraordinary determination and a more humane definition of success. After all, in a country that managed to rebuild itself from ashes in just one generation, reinventing its culture to prioritize humanity over productivity seems to be just another miracle that South Korea is perfectly capable of achieving.